It's all about just, with the hunter and this type of hunter, it's not about trades at all. It's just about going to face, and it's hard to remove these guys. A lot of times with the hunter, you run out of steam because you run out of cards, right?
Yeah. Reynad
He's,
wants like Fan of Knives. Like
yeah,
Fan of
exactly.
Knives preparation. Oh, Blade Flurry's okay. He can
So
actually use that. Not right now, because obviously. Well, actually, he still can right now if he wants to, but he's still going to be taking damage in response. So he attacks, coin out a Blade Flurry, or even prep. Okay. I guess he values the coin more than he values the prep.
yeah,
Makes sense, so that way he can coin out an Azure Drake or something.
or he could coin out an agent and use a hero power next turn too. That would be pretty
Sure.
decent.
Sure.
Okay, do you go Jungle Panther, which is stealth? I like the stealth. The addition to the stealth too. It's kind of similar to a charge in a way, but it's just it's a little bit worse than a charge. But it has a similar principles, given that it's hard to remove that minion before it does damage.
Yeah, it feels
So,
almost. It is weaker because of 2 health and maybe like a spell-powered Fan of Knives, but I understand exactly what you mean, Chan Man. And I think, this is just 4 damage you kind of already calculate into it. There's just so much damage. Oh my god. Like, this is ridiculous. Hover, of course. It's a Hover companion. What else
it's
could it
always
be?
a Leok for me, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's doing, but he's doing something right because all right, he's trying to decide whether to trade with this, and
Yeah,
at
Fan
this
of Knives
point,
would wreck its
I,
board.
I don't think there's. I Okay, I
I
think
think
you go
I think you're
face. I think you
so
go face.
close. Yeah, I
I
think
think
you're
you go
so
face.
close
I
and
mean,
it's okay. But at the same time, losing your entire board really does stink to like one spell that cantrips. Not to mention that if he does have Fan of Knives, he'd attack the face. But he also recognizes that I think if he had it, then he would have played it probably earlier on the 1-drops instead of having to do that elaborate do-si-do with Blade Flurry.
I don't love that. I think he should have just gone face there because he has draws for a lethal next turn,
Sure.
regardless if he clears or not. So he's still in great shape. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a way that he can secure his board a little bit more, force the removal back on him, on the minions, rather than being able to take initiative in response. Because, again, if it goes catastrophic, he uses Earth and Reed Farseers with, like, I don't know, another preparation of some sort. Okay.
All right.
And we're back.
We're back, guys. Sorry about that. Sorry about the stream there. Just kind of blipped for a second, but we didn't miss anything, thankfully. Didn't miss anything. Okay,
Sure.
let's see.
So if you're Ray, I think here you just there's no way to heal, and I think the Gadget Stand can't really do anything, so you could eviscerate an SI7 agent. It doesn't feel very good. Or you can sap the Argent Squire even as well if you don't feel like
I
the
think,
sap's going to have much plays.
yeah, I think sapping is a little better option there because there's not much that's gonna be sapped. All these things are charges, right? So they're just trying to get the damage in there, and then the eviscerate could be something that you use for damage to the face, or even something bigger like a Misha possibly.
Does make sense. I mean, all those things, again, are very difficult for a
Like a
rogue to
Misha.
deal with generally. And then Tides wants to be using his hero power as much as he can every turn. And just set a natural clock on Reynad. So no real rush to get the Tiger out. He's still being able to push out damage. At least he actually put out equivalent stats anyways.
Mhm.
While being able to squeeze in the hero power. Ooh, Earth Enemy Farseer though.
Yeah.
Earth Enemy Farseer is big with Shadow Steps.
It's true, and he's got the eviscerate too to remove the big threat on the board.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Reynad's not out of this yet here, Gen Man.
Nope,
But
he's
it's still looking hard.
yeah. Once it gets that tiger down, it's gonna be a little bit tougher. But yeah, Reynad's starting to establish the board, and he's getting some momentum here. If he can get that gadget stand going, draw into some like Leroy and another shadow step, then we're looking at potentially having a lethal situation. We'll see. Okay, so he ends up going
Yeah.
with hero power there. All right.
Well, it's just the opportunity cost, and the blue
Yeah.
gill is 2 damage, but it can come down next turn versus he only can hero power once next turn.
Yeah. Oh, freezing trap too. All right. You can get 4 damage from the bluegill and the hero power next turn, plus the 6 that's on the board. So he's too short. Just needs to draw 2 here, unless he shadow steps the earthen ring here, which he looks like
Yeah.
he's doing. So he'll need.
I like it just
Fine.
because, again, you want to just be as safe as possible. And, healing up, sure, you lose some of your damage, but at the same time, it's like you realize that this is survival mode. Plus, he kind of has to kill this gadget stand if he doesn't have lethal.
Okay, that's a pretty good draw there with the bow. It looks like he's got 6, 9,
Ooh.
11, 13.
Yes, 13.
He can play the freezing trap, which can.
Then if he attacks with the earthen ring and then the earthen ring heals himself up again, it's like he has 4 earthen rings then
That's true.
in a very odd way.
Yeah. See, this is where he could have
If he
potential
set up
leap
the
already.
hover, right? But
Yeah.
then at the same
Yeah.
time, you don't know what that Drake could have done in response, and that could have been adding a couple hits, or even worse, it'd still be alive, and he'd be 8 health lower. And with response, like he'd actually might be in danger of lethal if his opponent was holding Leroy. So it's a little unfair to judge at that point, but I think objectively you're right because he obviously didn't have it. So in that respect, the Tides should probably have gone face.
All right.
You
Let's
have
see.
to
I think
kill
I
this
think
guy.
he's gonna force to remove a lot of this stuff.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the gadget stands the highest priority. If you can't kill him this turn, you have to kill the
Oh yeah,
gadget
for sure
stand.
the gadget's in. It's just a matter of do you remove the earthen ring here?
The earthen ring, but then the SI7 comes out anyways and kills off your tiger. Hey, but at least you
Well,
get a charge
okay,
off your
that's true.
bow. At
That's
least you get a
true.
charge off your bow though, which is nice.
Oh,
I
definitely.
think
Yeah.
I think if you don't care about the charge of the bow, you just go for it because you get 3 damage back anyways. And
Yeah,
the
I think
delay
yeah,
of the
I
turn
think you
doesn't
just
matter.
yeah, just go for it. You kind of reline yourself to go for it and just kill him in this next turn.
Now, right now, if you pick something like Phantom Knives, oh my goodness, that is going to be so big.
Oh, this whoa, this
Oh, he has a
let's
shiv. He
see.
has a shiv already, so he already has a way to deal with
Hey, let me
the,
see.
the
The
tiger without
tiger,
committing
yeah.
a resource. Yeah.
Well, he's got okay. Let's see how much damage he actually has. He can weapon up. Got 3 there, 9. Eviscerate gives him 13. Wow, he's really close.
Okay, and he tests immediately with freezing
Okay,
trap.
yep.
Sometimes people test with weapons, but if it's misdirection, that could have been awful. So,
Okay, so it's gonna be 5 now, but I have to imagine he's gonna play it again. Heal up to 12, shiv the tiger.
sure, but you shift first and see what you draw.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Can you even set up lethal with this though? Like, because then the cost of 5 is not something to be ignored.
I
Do you
think yeah. I
sap the
think you set up.
1/1?
No, you can set up. I mean, you always have a. Let's see. If you have 2/3/3s on the board, you could take them down to 11. Then you have the poison, which could give you another
Sure.
9 next turn. So you would just need 8. Hmm.
Oh my. Reynad's gonna go for a board clear, I guess.
Sap. Okay.
Oh no, instead he needs to heal, yeah. Of course he needed to heal. So instead he saps instead of shivs, which kind of accomplishes the same thing where it just kind of removes that 5. Like that 5, if it comes out next turn, it's still gonna require 2 turns to be able to attack. In which case Tides might feel like he doesn't have enough time to get away with it. So he might just commit all of his resources into setting up
know,
a potential lethal.
If Reynad draws a Leroy, I believe he wins.
Sure.
Like,
But at the same time,
Sure.
I'm still kind of surprised he didn't shiv there. Because then he might have drawn into an option immediately. Versus Sap is the same cost.
Yeah, true.
And now he has this almost guaranteed 5 damage the following turn.
Oh wow. Okay, we'll see what he draws here, guys.
Ray needs a Leroy top deck and shiv into a shadow step. Or something along those lines.
Prep?
Hmm.
Nope. Prep don't. Okay, you gotta shiv
And-
first.
Oh
Shiv first.
man.
Go.
He needs to shiv.
What does he get?
Leroy eviscerate. Oh, my
Oh,
goodness.
gadgets, and he's got prep.
But he's staring at lethal. Like, how is he supposed to prevent this damage from coming back?
Well
And
played.
I'm surprised that Reynad went for this route instead of shipping.
So he can. Okay, let's just think about it. He can gadget Zan, prep, into eviscerate. Let's see.
Well, backstab this
Okay.
1/1, see what he draws. I mean, at this point, we can think about what he draws, or we can just kind of watch and see what happens. He gets his SI7 agent, has to backstab this 1/1.
Yeah.
But unless he's playing something like Ooze, I don't see a way for him to get out of this. Nope.
Oh, nope.
And Reynad ends up falling in this game number 2, and Tides takes it with his Hunter.
Yeah. Exciting game though, man. Tides got up to a really quick start there, and Reynad almost brought it back and pulled out a miracle win there. But 1-1, guys, in a best of 5 series. And this hunter, I like it. I like it. I like these stealth units and a little
It's
bit
an
of wrinkles
interesting
with
take,
the
right?
yeah the
It's an
Argent
interesting take
Squire
because
too. Yeah,
you always tend to see like Stranglethorn Tigers in like the mid-range hunter, but you see it kind of here as a function as you want your minions to have as much damage as possible independently. And if you just
yeah,
stuff your deck with as much damage, because the Tiger almost will guarantee get the 5 damage off, versus if you just put
yeah.
like a Yeti, it might just die off. So if you kind of have that, you have cards like Arcane Golem, Abusive Sergeant, Leper Gnomes, and just over course of time, the Hunter does so much damage. I think it's a really cool inclusion in the deck, in my opinion. What do you
Yeah,
think?
the beauty of the Strangleheart Tiger, and actually, I remember playing around with Strangleheart Tiger a lot back when I was like messing around with Hunter quite a bit. Is that even if you lose tempo, a lot of times people just throw in charge and just kind of punch the face. The stealth actually gives you the ability to to still sustain a minion on the board also in another way. And a lot of times the Tiger becomes like a beacon for your kill command, and you can set up like these crazy awesome finishes, huge burst finishes from the Hunter. And it's really, really nice there. But it looks like Reynad's going to be breaking out his Shaman against this Hunter. And what do you think about this matchup? I'm going to ask you the percentages, Frodan. What do you think the percentages is for this?
For
This
Shaman versus Hunter, well,
yes.
traditionally in the Unleash the Hounds meta, the Shaman won like 25% of the time. It was really, really disgustingly brutal because you can't use your hero power effectively without controlling like the RNG.
Hmm.
And at that point, it was really difficult to climb back. But ever since like the fall off of Unleash the Hounds and the confidence that Shaman has to build the board, I say it's still pretty decent. I would actually say it's based off the way the decks are, I would say 45, 55.
Okay.
And it kind of gives or takes based on how the people play it. And this Argent Squire is going to do so much work against the one drops of whatever Tides has.
Yeah, well, Tides fortunately has this Argent Squire also to counter that. There's nothing too crazy there. He's got explosive traps. Got that Leroy there. We didn't see the Leroy last game, so pretty cool. I'm wondering how many traps he has in there. We saw a freezing trap. We're seeing explosive now. It's pretty aggressive, so I'm thinking there's another explosive trap there. But is freezing trap the only other trap in this deck? That's really the question.
I think so. I think those you don't really need to run misdirection. Freezing Trap kind of does the same exact thing as Leroy, anyways. If you keep the board clear against Miracle Road. One thing that is really nice is this Ooze that's in Reynad's deck. It's great against Miracle and it's conveniently
Oh,
good against Hunter. Also,
yes.
Doomhammer. With the inclusion of a lot of more burst in the Shaman's deck, also gives it a way to race the Hunter as well. So Doomhammer might be an MVP for this game as well if Reynad gets the opportunity to do a lot of damage with it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, removes that Leok. See, that's what happens to me whenever I run in
Oh yeah.
Leok.
Well, I guess in that respect, Tides does at least have a minion on the board that can kill a lot of these totems. It seems like Reynad clearly doesn't have spells like his Earthshock or even his Lightning Bolts to kill off these units, so that definitely gives Tides a lot of information to work with. It's nice that Reynad does roll a Taunt Totem, though, because every single point of life is really going to start to matter soon.
Yeah, that jungle panther is not quite as strong against the shaman, given that the shaman can storm and remove it. Nice thing about the stealth again is that your opponent can't react to it normally. And when you have the Stranglehold Tiger, it's got so much health that it's very difficult to kill him, right? But
Right.
the jungle panther is much more susceptible to
Yeah.
AE, just a lot of AE spells. So
Yeah, definitely. It's Lightning Storm prone, and that might encourage Tides to hold off on it, wait for him to use it before he does it, and go for the weapon instead.
yeah,
Guarantee the 3 damage, but then Reynad's going to be able to retaliate immediately and have a really nice turn 4. Either way, the Defender of Argus might come down if he doesn't use a weapon, but the Ooze is still a really nice backup option for Reynad.
all right. What do you like here, Frodan? He's got a lot of options. He could, just start going to phase with a just
Generally, I
like
like the
that,
weapon
sitting
just because you
zero
have the
power.
trap.
Yeah.
You have the trap, so that way the following turns you have like assuming you don't know your opponent's running the Ooze, because again that's a tech card that you're not really expecting all the time from Shaman.
Yeah.
I wouldn't blame him for throwing Jungle Panther because it is damage, and he already shown he doesn't have the removal spells. But if you run the risk of going into the Lightning Storm, then you just die. But at the same time, my play means that you would have gotten oozed, so Tides actually should drop this Jungle Panther But if I was in his position, I
Yeah, I
would
think
go
he's done
weapon.
this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would go
generally, I
weapon.
think this is the standard kind of play here because you want to set up that explosive trap, like you were saying, so you can continually swing with that weapon, get that damage in there. But he is going to be oozed, and oh, there's a light. Oh, so
Ooh,
he would
well,
have
you
had an
know
answer to
what?
either of
Yeah,
them. Gosh,
the
wow, that
answer
would have
is
been hard.
that neither play is great.
It would have sucked either way, man.
And I think Ray's pretty happy about this. You just drop the use. I don't think there's too much merit to doing a defender of Argus play, nor do I think it's like good to lightning storm. So I think ooze just makes sense. Wow, he rolls another taunt totem. Really
Okay.
nice. This
Yeah.
is good RNG for Reynad so far.
All right, so U's gonna remove that, and of course Tide's not happy about it, but it's not, it's not too crazy. It's not as dependent upon the bow as like say a trap hunter is. So he'll be able to take care of this Ooze pretty easily with arcane shot, whatever. Just even with the possibility of his Argent Squire too. So
Ray's also trying to plan out his next turns. What happens if he plays like a Doom Hammer the following turn? Should he kill off the Divine Shield so that way it's easier for him to not only trade, assuming his minion lives, but also to maybe use Doom Hammer? Should he set up for a Lightning Storm the following turn in case his opponent floods the board with lots of low-cost drops? He saw his opponent play 3 1-drops in 2 turns the previous game, so maybe he does that instead. All these kinds of questions definitely have merit to it, and I guess Reynad's just definitely trying to plan out his turns, but Tides gets a pretty good trade and starts adding to the clock. Every
yeah.
time you use the hero power, drains the shaman that much closer to dying.
Oh, and then with this type of hunter, the hero power is super important, like you're saying there. You pretty much want to hero power every turn, where you can combo a card, charge, like a Wolf Rider preferably, and sneak in that extra 2 damage with your hero power. Oh,
No,
there's
he
a
opts
lightning
not
storm.
to use Doomhammer and use Lightning Storm on a guaranteed kill of the board. You can't blame him because most often the deck has a lot of chargers, and you're not going to see like an ability to proactively Lightning Storm before the damage comes in.
Yep.
But at the same time, you're overloaded either way, and then at least now you have Doomhammer instead of, I guess, this totem. So I'm not exactly sure if that trade-off is something he wants, but in my opinion, I would have liked to have the Doomhammer more. But at the same time, I could be missing something, Tim. Do you see anything else I could have?
The Doomer, I mean, it's just life conservation, like you're saying. He would have taken another 4 damage, I think, if he would have used the Doomhammer
That's true.
there.
That is true.
And I think that's the most important thing in this matchup because they don't this type of hunter doesn't even care about board control. They just want to get
Actually,
that damage
correct.
in there, and be done with it. So that's kind of a tough match. It's a pretty tough matchup for the
He
shaman
doesn't have
here.
removal options either. He might
No, he
have to just
doesn't.
Defender and trade, which stinks. Hex? Oh man.
I don't like Hex.
Well, you get
Really.
value on the Defender of Argus if you totem and then Defender the following turn. So again, planning for following turns is what he wants. It's just again hexing a Wolf Rider that already did damage just doesn't feel good.
Yeah, but the
Not to
problem is
mention that it picks up another weapon.
the problem is you're still looking at the trap too. So it's kind of rough here. He's not going to even get through this hunt.
No, true. And in hindsight, a lot of his plays definitely make sense of what he wants to accomplish. But at the same
Yeah.
time, the lack of early removal has been really difficult, and Reynad's finally being able to
Now
kind of
he's going
fight
with
back.
that. Okay, there we go.
But at the same time,
Yeah, and I think he went with this. He went with this route just so he can get more taunts up, and can understand that for sure. Okay,
at the
looks
same time,
like
he's still kind of in trouble. He's at 13 health. His clock is not very long. And if this weapon, assuming it doesn't get even another charge, which it most likely will, it's still a lot of damage that's coming his way with an arcane shot also in the hand of Tides. So Reynad's still looking at maybe 2, 3 turns until he might face a potential lethal.
um,
Yep. So Tides sets
but
up a way so that way it kills off the healing totem. Healing totem is actually like a explosive traps nightmare, right, Chan?
yeah, it is definitely very problematic for the explosive trap. Hmm.
Wow, a Pharaoh Spirit draw for Reynad. That is
Oh,
very
lots.
key.
Yeah,
That is
lots of 3 health minions. No, it doesn't line up well with the explosive trap, and like you said, the heal totem is going to be Amazing to heal all those guys up after it if he doesn't get rid of it
He
this next.
really hopes this is a freezing
Yep,
trap, but he knows it's
exactly.
explosive.
Yep, and ends up working out before the Feral Spirit even comes down. So,
No, I feel like you got to play the Feral Spirits here just to set up
oh
another
my gosh, he
taunt.
does't play the. Okay, there it is. He has
No, he was
mana
going
left.
to. He
Yeah,
just
he has
wanted to
three
play
mana
another
left.
5. The only other option was maybe Doomhammer if he wants to potentially
Hmm.
set up damage. But I think he wants to also play Fire Elemental. And at this point, he's just saying, I don't care if you have Unleashed because I just need to survive because he
Yep.
needs to make a play for the board.
All right,
And
so
this
he's
is
just gonna
really
crash it.
annoying for Chance. Really annoying. But he still has burst, and if he's able to get through that last taunter,
Hmm.
which he can, and then set him up, he can potentially just Leroy him down. But oh god, he's so close to lethal this turn, unfortunately. Ooh.
I'm a tiny bit surprised he used the Panther. I mean, the Panther still could have died to a Lightning Storm, his second one, but he did give up one damage potentially for the Wolf Rider. You know, like instead of doing the Wolf
Wait, you're
Rider,
right.
that
You're right.
was
If
a
he used the
little.
Wolf Rider.
Hmm.
No,
Oh,
actually, no. He still wouldn't have been able to lethal that turn. Yeah, I think
no,
Tides is
no.
actually thinking retroactively about that.
Well, he didn't lethal, but he could have had the option of just removing the Azure Drake too. But I don't
Sure.
know. It's debatable.
Conveniently, this one health doesn't actually make that much of a difference because he does have that clock. But
Hmm.
Reynad, that freezing trap actually might be the key here. If he's able to kind of set up another taunt. No, wait, 6 mana. He's overloaded for 2. Oh man, I forgot about that.
Oh no, no,
Is
this
he
is
forced to like hex his own minion?
well, no, he
Oh
can.
man.
Oh, he can. I mean, he can taunt the Azure Drake. What do you mean?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Right?
you're right, you're
Yeah, yeah,
right,
he
you're
can
right.
taunt the Azure Drake, and then he can
Ah, sorry,
remove
I'm
the
just talking.
3/1.
Like, and sometimes like you feel like, oh my god, do I have to do something stupid in order to survive?
No, no, dude, I've hexed my own minions plenty of times before
Well,
against like Miracle Rogue and stuff like that. But Defender of Argus here is going to be. He can lightning bolt that 3/1 too if you. Is he going face? Let me see.
oh yeah, I think at this
Okay, he's
point,
going face. Yeah, just going for
there's
it.
no way for him to win otherwise.
Yeah, and
But
that's
we
the
know
smart
that
move.
Tides has this game.
Yep, and he's got the game, and Leroy's going to remove that, and then he's going to finish it with the bow and Wolf Rider. So Tides takes game number 3, goes up 2-1, on the hill now in the best of 5 series against Reynad. And man, that Hunter deck, man.
Wow. And I think he's going with Handlock again, and I think that's why he picked Shaman over Handlock because if we talk about how Shaman kind
Yeah.
of matches up against the Hunter, if it can get some damage in, maybe it's like 45, 40%. But Handlock feels like almost a free win for the Hunter because you have the kill commands and like that naturally just drain the life, and even if they get Molten Giants, there's a way for them to get through. So I feel like with Reynad showing Shaman that almost a strong, I'm almost certainly positive that Reynad's running Handlock.
Yeah, and Tides, we haven't seen Unleash the Hounds, and we haven't seen Hunter's Mark yet in his deck. So I'm curious to see if he has those. Those will obviously help with any kind of taunts that Reynad can throw up, even in desperation. But okay, those are the kind of cards you want to see, though, if you're Reynad.
Yeah, the
These
Watcher
are the
Iron Beak Owl actually allows him to counter
yeah,
pressure, and
exactly.
as a result, he's not going to ever have the opportunity to play like Mountain Giants, Twilight Drakes at high value.
Hmm. Right. Oh, and
Mortal
Morgul
Coil.
too. It's good too.
Okay, okay. Still though, the fact that Tides doesn't miss a 1-drop is really nice, and that fact that it's a Leopard Gnome that adds a lot of damage is also really nice.
Yeah, this matchup's rough also because of the hero power from the Hunter, and the
Hmm.
lock is just limited even from the standpoint of tapping. Tapping is such a huge part of playing this deck, and he's
Okay.
not going to get to do that.
Molten Giants, faceless. So if he picks up a Taunter and things get really low and his opponent doesn't have the finisher, maybe he can do something with this. It's not
Starting to get
looking
some
the
tools.
worst
Yeah,
for Reina.
yeah, he's starting to get some of the tools that he needs. Uh, another Molten Giant, so just one taunt could be pretty brutal. Could be one of those games where it's just like looking like the Hunter's just going to roll, and then all of a sudden the taunts go up, and then it turns turns around completely.
Sure, exactly, exactly. Well, Mountain Giant's not exactly what he needed, but Reina's gonna
He's going
tap
to
here.
tap. Okay. Oh, so he got
Okay.
he got the taunt that he needs, the Sun Fury
Hmm.
Protector. It's you're
Sure.
going to want that over the Argus, given that it's lower mana and the Molten Giant's going to be you're gonna want to play both of them at the same time there. But Tides is gonna, he's wary of that. He's gonna be careful about playing around the potential, to be a potential giving Reynad the potential ability to put up two huge taunts like that. All right,
Sure, and
so
I think you still go for your game plan is still pretty similar. Now that he tapped into the Mountain Giant, ironically, he's able to play it on turn 4 anyways, so that's why he didn't coin out this Ironbeak Owl.
mhm.
And now that Tides has seen this giant, he's a little scared because he's like, oh man, if it sets up a wall or even starts counter pressure, it's going to be pretty rough.
I'm wondering if that was right or not, though.
Instead of playing a 3-drop.
Instead of, no, I mean, instead of activating that Ancient Watcher, Ancient Watcher can be really, I mean, minimizes the damage that's on the board, right, from like the Leper Gnome. Um, I don't know. It depends. It depends if Tides lets the health go down enough that the Mountain Giant goes. So we'll
Well,
see.
otherwise it's a dead card in hand. And you can Mountain Giant next turn anyways.
Okay.
But I
Okay,
do
I see.
agree. I do understand what you're saying, and I do agree partially that pushing out the Ironbeak Owl is okay. Wow. I think Tides is also
He's just
really
going for
calculating
it.
what his opponent can do. And interestingly enough, this also means like that he didn't actually have to save for the Mountain Giant because he would have played Molten Giant anyways.
Yeah. Looks like he's setting up a possible Huffer kill command, 9 damage in turn 6 here too. So next turn looking like Arcane.
Yeah, and it
This
looks
is
like the
it's
Gambit
scary.
doesn't pay off. Ooh, man.
Oh, there's
Oh,
gonna be a
man.
ton of giants on the board here in a second.
Yes, and he does have the taunts coming up, but
Well, I would have. Okay, I would have gone
wow, I
both.
think with that he puts Reynad at 1 health potentially next turn with the kill command and the hero power,
Hmm.
and assuming actually no, wait, the Leper Gnome as well. The Leper
Oh
Gnome's
yeah,
as well.
true. The Leper Gnome actually puts him
That's
in.
it. That's it. Reynad's dead. Unless he has no health gain.
Yeah, that's true. Reyna is dead
Wait,
because
no,
he's
he
gonna
needs to
be.
owl. No, he needs to owl the. No, okay, sorry, he's
No,
not
no,
dead.
no,
He has
no.
to
It's
owl. He
7
has to
damage.
owl
Never
the
mind. Yeah.
owl and taunt. That's what he needs to do.
Owl and Taunt. What do you mean?
Owl the leper gnome so he doesn't take 2 damage.
Oh, Owl. Oh, silence it. Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Right.
He needs
I
to
thought you were talking
silence
about
it.
the Ancient Watcher. I was like, what? It's the same thing.
No, no,
Yeah,
no.
that's true.
Owl. The only way he can live is if he owls the 2/1
Do it. Does he know to do it?
leper gnome. And
Yes,
he
looks like
does.
he's doing
I
it.
think he understands.
Oh my gosh. Is
And
he gonna?
all of the sudden, Tides is looking at a potential swing if he does end it.
Leroy.
Oh gosh, he doesn't have a beast. That
Oh,
kill command, it's kind of
all right,
useless.
let's.
Can he even survive the following turn? If Leroy trades into something,
22. So
spending like a Huffer kill command. No, I think
no,
he
look
might
how
be
much
second
damage. Look how much damage Reynad has in his hand.
Sure, but looking at the one on the board, like
I
let
know.
alone on the
But
board, can he
even
survive?
there's no
And
way.
Reynad, that Ironbeak Owl, that restrained, ended up being his ticket to win
True.
because
That's very true.
he lured his opponent into a false sense of potentially having damage lethal. And he also emoted a mistake, like oops, and I'm not sure what that was exactly. Maybe you can look at it in retrospect, but I think Reynad played this game perfectly and in objectively because he's able to set up everything and pull out a win from a very, very tough matchup. I can't even begin to emphasize how hard this matchup is for the handlock usually.
Yeah,
Wow,
exactly. That's
impressive
That's
win.
been happening a lot, man. The counter decks are just not working today. But it makes for an exciting series here. We're going to go into game number 5. Winner here stays in the tournament. Loser here is going to be eliminated. And man, Tides, he's going to have to break out. What's his? Well, actually, we don't even know what his third deck is.
I imagine it's probably a shaman. I think his shaman is still pretty stable, and shaman versus
Okay, it's a
handlock
shaman.
is
Yeah.
a pretty good matchup overall. So I think Tides has played this overall series in terms of the clash choices pretty well.
Oh, I love this matchup. This matchup is so fun to watch. Well, a lot of times it has to do with just how many answers the shaman can draw, or how soon the shaman can establish the board with the totems and the small minions.
How hard does Reynad want to mulligan for a 4-drop? You know, Shadow Flame is a great card against Shaman usually because you're able to clear the board, but he's even willing to throw that away. But at the same time, keeping the Iron Beak Owl also allows him to answer really annoying things in the beginning. For example, maybe something like the Mana Tide Totem if it doesn't, if he's able to draw a lot of cards off of it.
Manatide's
So,
so good. Manatide played against me. I feel like it draws on average 2 cards. So good.
sure, sure. And that Flame Tongue Totem would be really nice too. Allow him to do some easy trades with Giants if the Feral Spirit or something come out.
Yeah, Flame Tongue Totem's actually one of the important cards in this matchup because a lot of times you're not going to draw all the answers for. You don't have enough answers for all the giants, right? There's 4 giants. There's only 2 hexes, and you have to create the ability to remove those giants in a very efficient fashion. And the Flame Tongue with those totems on the board is usually the best way to do that.
Reynad picks up a really important card in Hellfire. That's usually enough to at least mostly clear the board. Sometimes a Fire Elemental or Azure Drake lives, but most importantly, it kills the Drake, not the Drakes, the Feral Spirits and the totems.
Oh,
So
interesting. Okay.
I think Reynad has that card, but at the same time doesn't have an important 4-drop. So it's still kind of like a really Oh, he picks it up. Does this board have Urshock though?
Yeah. Tides needs that Urshak. That's like the best card against the Twilight Drake in the game. And Tides made an interesting decision last turn. Decided with the Unbound Elemental over the Mana Tide.
Oh
there's
my
the Urshak.
gosh.
Wow.
That
Okay.
is crazy. A big pickup here for
Crazy pick.
Tides. Especially because what's about to come out. Right now it's going to be one sad camper.
Okay, so removes it with a Rock Biter, and yeah, Reynad is gonna be forced to.
Unless
Does
he
he have
picks up a
any other
Mountain
play?
Giant.
Does
But
he
if
have
he
any
gets a
other?
Mountain Giant,
Okay.
then
He still has an
he-
answer. Tide still has an answer for a Mountain Giant, so
oh, he's going to Drake and probably Soulfire. And in which case,
Okay.
his opponent's going to Earthshock, and then it's like, well, okay, so we have nothing we can attack each
oh,
other.
if he loses a Giant, that'll be so bad. Okay, no, he lost a Nargets there. Okay, and this is the counter to the Twilight Drake, the one card in the game that's a straight counter.
Most definitely. And, I like Tides not overextending. He's still refraining from playing Mana Tide the entire time. And he just doesn't. He wants his opponent to use something like AoE. Maybe Reynad Hellfire's here, but that's such a weak board to Hellfire, because especially since it's just totems, plus
Yeah.
the Death Rattle draws a card. So he might choose a really passive turn of just life tapping and maybe playing Iron Beak on the 1/1. Like that's
and even-
might be what he chooses.
And even like a Giant play here would just this is the
Yeah.
situation I was
No,
talking
I
about.
don't,
This
I
is
don't
perfect.
blame him for passing. I don't blame him
Yeah,
for passing.
I
It's
don't
like
blame him
not
for
really
passing
worth
either.
silencing that.
Yeah, it's only 2 damage on the board. It's like not a big deal. But now he's gonna put a big threat on the board with the Fire Elemental. Oh, or maybe not. Or I think the Harvest Gun's a better choice. Yeah, fill the board even more. Really bait out a board clearing spell here like Shadow
Sure.
Flame or Hellfire. Still gonna have the
Again,
Harvest Gun on the board too.
If he plays something like a Mountain Giant, these Flame Tongue totems will wreck. It'll absolutely destroy whatever comes out. Reynad's going to go
clear
and
the
look for the
board.
board clear.
Yeah.
Hellfire, finally. And as much as, it's annoying that you're only killing totems, it does represent 8 mana over time. So, like, at the same time, even though it's not loss of cards, he still gets a full board clear, which is important because Tides can't utilize things like Flame Tongue Totem as effectively anymore.
Yeah, and it's really, really good to set up the Mountain Giant too, because Tides doesn't have things like Feral Spirit. He just drew it, but doesn't have the ability just to fill the board really, really fast there. All right, see what else he draws. Oh,
All right,
thanks for
Ray gets a
watching.
Mountain Giant. And a Mountain Giant would go straight into a Hex. You don't always expect the first Giant to do well. In fact,
Yeah.
you really do. But it's always like the follow-up ones, in which case he might be a little bit more, and I'm going to steal this word from you, Jamie. He's going to be a little bit more judicious about how he approaches this.
Wow, 2 Faceless. Reynad's got 2 Faceless in his hand now, and he's hoping for. He's got a Molten now too, so he can follow this up with a Molten Giant the next turn. But that Violent Teacher is, that's the one thing about Tides' Shaman that I really, really liked. That gives him the ability to fill it with just casting some spells like the Hex on this turn. Feral Spirit's going to be awesome. He's going to have like 5-6 units on the board next turn. It's going to be.
You could
great.
have a full board if you
Yeah.
really wanted to. And that's that's really hard, and Reynad will have to answer. He does have a Shadow Flame, which is
He
nice, but
does.
at the same time, it's like that is really, really annoying to deal with.
Here it comes. Oh no, he's gonna hold off on the. Yeah, he looks like he's gonna hold off on the spirit. And I think feral spirit,
Sure.
and I think that's smart because it gives him another way of another reload whenever that shadow flame comes out.
It's the same concept as fighting against something like a Control Warrior, which you want them to use Brawl, you want them to use Baron Geddon, and then drop like Feral Spirits to delay, and also, since it's so cheap, you're able to put like a really expensive minion like Fire Elemental and be able to respond. So I think overall Tides is being very, very safe and conservative with his cards, and I think that's the right way to approach his matchup. He's not in any threat or rush to finish the game. He has Alec here. Even with just a Flame Tongue Totem, it's still 10 burst with whatever he has. So I think he's just going to take his time here.
Okay, so Reynad just throws down the Molten Giant. It lines up perfectly just with his health. But
Oh,
this, Tides is in great shape here. He's got
yeah.
the Flame Tongue Totem. He's got lots
Plus
of things on the
I
board. He
think,
can
yeah, Flame Tongue plus Argent is just like really bad day for Reynad.
exactly, exactly.
Molten Giant dies so easily. And, I think Tides is just in position to almost run away with this game because as much as Reynad has cards like the Giants to help push him out, but at the same time, this like the Molten Giant also functions as also like a failsafe with the Shadow Flame. Sometimes if it gets too low, you just drop it and then you Shadow Flame and then you can do something else. But now he's losing his options as well. These Giants haven't been able to get value back whatsoever.
I don't know about. Now that I think about it, I'm not sure. I'm wondering if this is the right player. Now, given that he knows that his opponent potentially has another Hellfire or Shadow Flame, so maybe just throwing the Violet Teacher in there, it would have been okay. Well, he commits to it, so if his opponent doesn't have a Shadow Flame here, he potentially has lethal next turn. So
Sure.
I
He
think
doesn't
that's
want to
what he's
give
going
him
for.
an option to, because people would have been like, oh, he missed 5 damage, but he doesn't want to give his opponent an opportunity to Shadow Flame like a second Molten Giant, for example, and reset. Because again, that is a fail safe that handlocks often refer to, but
Yeah.
not the case here with Reynad. He picks up a Twilight Drake, which the first one got Earth Shocked. It hasn't been
Right.
going well. Every single giant or every big threat that came out has been answered immediately. And, it's not been looking good for Ray. How can he kind of answer this?
Well, he can faceless. He could faceless the Argent Commander and then Shadow Flame it and clear the board. It's
Well,
one
the
thing he
Violet
could
Teacher
do.
lives with 1 health,
No, oh,
unfortunately.
it's because he doesn't have the Flame Tongue, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, the buffs don't
That's
carry over,
tough.
so it's
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
can you get a clean exchange? But I
No, I don't
think
think he
you're
can
right in the sense
actually.
that the Shadow Flame has to come out here. I think Earthen Ring
Yeah,
plus Shadow Flame.
Earthen Ring would be a pretty good one. You clear out everything but the Violet Teacher, but then man, the board's just gonna fill up again the next turn.
Exactly.
This
That's
is
where the Feral
brutal.
Spirits kick in. Feral Spirits, Sentient Shield Master, and and then like another Flame Tongue. I don't know. Like stuff like that is just what makes Shaman almost unbearable in this matchup from the handlock's perspective because it just feels like no matter how you try to clear it, it has answers to your threats. It keeps loading up the board. It gets really efficient trades, and in the end, it just bursts you down anyways with things like
Yeah,
Doomhammer and Alakir.
such a different style of play too, which is like that's what I love about Hearthstone. It seems like all the different classes require a different way of playing and
It's a
learning them all.
finesse.
So yeah, it's a really fun.
The closest thing that isn't finesse in Hearthstone is definitely Zoo, though. You have to kind of make a case. It's like you just kind of
Yeah, true.
log jam your way,
You just gotta.
barreling down
It
the
can be
gates.
brainless. Like not. Yeah, the cards can just play themselves a lot of times in Zoo. So that's true.
I like it, Chan, man. More stuff like that.
All right, so Argent Commander.
Instruction
I
begin.
wouldn't
Okay,
be
so
mad if he Feral
oh,
Spirits here either,
ah,
because he
yeah, I
has seen
would.
Shadow Flame or Hellfire, but there are usually 2 copies of Hellfire, so he could be worried about that. I think he's also starting to be very cautious about what happens if his opponent has Leroy, Power Overwhelming, and Faceless and Soulfire. And in which case, if he does have that, then you absolutely want taunts this turn because he still might die to 24 damage combo if he's not careful.
Yeah, I like this. Oh, he's thinking about Sinjin. He's
I think Drake and Feral Spirits.
Drake and Fierce, right?
Yeah.
It is committing to it. I kind of think Sinjin could have been okay too, but I like this play too. So but he actually passes on getting a token there, which that was a little bit of a misplay. He could have gotten a token from the Feral Spirit.
Oh, you are correct in that
Yeah.
regards. If he Feral Spirit before he died. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's interesting.
frustrating.
Interesting. Maybe he didn't want it, but at the same time, conveniently because he didn't, it doesn't give a target to Mortal Coil. So
Okay, all
in a
right,
way,
sure.
like it
He
actually
knew
works
it.
out perfectly.
He
And
knew it.
Tides' ways are not our ways. This is anything I've learned.
Right.
So does Reynad sense that he can die this turn as well? I think so. With 12 damage represented and only 7, plus his opponent's holding a lot of cards. It could be just straight up lightning bolts, doom hammers, rock biter, that kind of stuff. In which case, he needs to set up defenses as well, or answer this board somehow.
All right,
how
what
do
can
you
he
go
do?
about
He
it?
can
How do you go about it?
siphon. He can siphon Twilight Drake, which I'm sure Twilight Drake just feels so bad in this matchup. What's
Yeah,
not, what's
I
even
think he
worse
has to
about
search for
siphon?
answers.
Yeah. Oh, Leroy.
Boy, oh man.
Oh wow.
He doesn't have an AoE. I think he was hoping to pick up something. But I think if he just plays his Argent and he taunts it up, I think that doesn't matter. I think Tides will win from that because he has the. Oh no, he's overloaded for 2.
He better do something. Okay, siphon. I think that's a good play here. Yeah, I guess that's all he could do there. And man, Tides has a ton of damage in his hand.
He does. He has the ability to do 10 with the Alakir plus the 6. Oh man, that was 16. If he had a spell power totem, he would be able to do a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got 16. I think that's the most he can do, right? 16.
I think if you see one Molten Giant at this point, you're feeling confident enough to kind of push your opponent down, and be able to just kind of just rush your opponent down because he won't be able to put out Molten Giant easy from that point on.
I just lost the screen here.
Yeah. By the way, our stream went down for a sec. Hold on.
Okay, we're good.
And
Can
we're back.
see again. Can see. All right.
Okay.
Didn't miss anything. That's good. So
Hold on one
Tide's
sec.
really setting up the lethal this turn. Puts down the fire elemental. Does 3 damage, and Reynad does not draw a board clearing card here, and I think it's looking pretty bleak for him.
Yeah, apparently he tapped too, and it looked like he got the Argent Commander, but a lot of these things, he doesn't have Shadow Flame #2, doesn't have Hellfire. He needs a way to kind of reset the board, and even so, he's put himself so low that if he was able to reset the board, he'd be worried about getting lethaled anyways.
Yeah, I mean, even an owl would have been decent at this point, but he didn't draw either of them. Gonna put up a taunt, see if he can at least absorb that fire elemental, which, but it's not gonna prevent lethal from happening.
And so
Some show.
Tides is going to advance to day number 3 off of a really contested series between him and his teammate. 2-3, really close once again. We've been seeing pretty